Hello, this video is going to show you how to start the HTML2 assignment. First, you need to be logged into Blackboard into the Web Design 1 course that you're using. Then you need to go to the assignments link, and once you go to the assignments link, you should see a folder that says HTML2. Click on that, and then you're going to see all the information. Now, if you already did HTML1, then this is going to feel very similar to what you did with that assignment. It's just new body content. So again, I'm going to walk you through the instructions and do the first couple of things with you, point out one or two things that might kind of trip you up, and then you'll be able to do the rest of it on your own. So the first thing that we're going to do is it says locate your files panel in Dreamweaver, and it talks about making the folders. So let me open up Dreamweaver. Okay, so if you already did the HTML1 assignment, you probably see the HTML1 folder. You can collapse that by hitting the arrow, so that way you don't see all that information and then it doesn't maybe confuse you a little bit more. So it's completely up to you. You can leave it open, it's not going to hurt anything, but this just seems easier to look at to me. So we're going to right click on assignments folder, and then we're going to go to new folder, and we're just going to call this one HTML2. And then from here, I need to go in and make all of the folder and file structure. So I'll right click and go to new folder and CSS. It doesn't matter what order you make these in, as long as you're right clicking on this root folder, which in this case is called HTML2, and making these. Right, and then I'll do working as our last one. And then lastly, I'm going to make a new file, which is going to be our home page. So I'm going to right click on HTML2, go to new file, and this one is going to be called index.html. Okay, the next set of instructions, so we already made the folder structure. The next thing it says to right click the body copy in Blackboard and save it to your HTML2/working folder. So I'm going to right click on this body copy, and I'm going to save link as. And I'm going to navigate to the Web 1 folder and assignments, HTML2, working. Save that right in there. Okay, so my body copy is in there. Again, if you don't see the body copy in your HTML2 working folder, you can always right click and go down to refresh local files if it's not visible. So I am going to double click my index.html to open it, and then I'll double click the body copy. Again, it's going to open it in TextEdit or Notepad, or it might open it in Dreamweaver. Again, I'm going to click in this document and hit Command or Control A to select all, and then I'll hit Command or Control C to copy. Now I can close this document, go between the body tags, and enter a few times and paste. Okay, so now I have that body copy in there. And the next thing that I'm going to do is open up this index file in a browser window, so that way I can see my changes. So I'm going to save it because it's saying it's not saved with a little asterisk there. So I'll save by Command or Control S. And then I'm going to minimize Dreamweaver for a moment, and I'm going to get my Web 1 folder from the computer, from your Finder window, double click, go to Assignments, go to HTML2, and let's go ahead and open up your index.html inside of a browser window. So this is what it looks like without all the formatting. So pretty hard to read. Like, I'm sure no one would want to sit there and read through all that, even if it was information you really were interested in. Okay, so the rest of what this is saying is just like what we did in HTML1, the HTML1 assignment. So we already went through and did all of these steps. The next thing it says is to add paragraph tags around visual blocks of text. Okay, so again, those are usually going to be all on one code line. Okay, so even this is a paragraph, even though it's just one sentence, we'll consider it a paragraph. Usually these are going to be headings. Okay, so I would come in here before Flickr is an image hosting, and I'll do left caret, p, right caret. And then I will go at the end of that, and I'll do left caret slash p, right caret. Continue doing that for all the paragraph tags. So left caret, p, right caret. So if you are watching this in the recorded video, what I would recommend doing, is going through and putting in all the paragraph tags. So I'm actually going to stop here, but if I were you, I would pause the video at this moment and go back into your code and just go in and put all of the paragraph tags in. Okay, again, things like this, these are probably going to be headings, so don't put anything around those. But everything else here is all these big blocks of text. So go ahead and pause the video if you haven't already and put in your paragraphs. Okay, so once you have your paragraphs in, the next thing that you're going to do is save, and then go back to your document and hit refresh. Now, hopefully you went through and you did all your paragraphs, so you should have much more than what I have, but I think you get the idea from this. Okay, great. So after you have your paragraphs in, the next thing is going to start to tell you your headings. So the first one is going to be about Flickr. Well, that's going to be the first one. It is my H1, my most important heading. So I will do left caret H1, right caret. And go at the end and do left caret slash H1, right caret. Again, you always want to close a tag if you open it. The only exception is the BR tag, which is a line break tag. It is self-closing. All right, so I'll save that. Go in and refresh. And maybe come on. It's not seeing my H1 tag. Oh, weird. Okay. Sometimes Dreamweaver has a little hiccup. It could just be my computer. Who knows? If Dreamweaver is kind of acting funny for you for any reason, there we go. Don't be afraid to just save it and then close the index file and reopen it, because sometimes that's all you need to refresh the document. Okay, no big deal. Next, and this is another, that was a great reason why you should not try to do the entire assignment and then come into the browser and check it. You want to do each tag or maybe one or two tags and then come in and refresh it, because if you did like 5 or 6 things and then nothing was working, you wouldn't know where the problem was. Okay, so next, history, features, controversy, those would get H2s, accounts, organization, filtering, licensing, all those would get H3. So again, just to show you, you can highlight any one of these and hit Command or Control C, come into Dreamweaver and hit Command or Control F for find, and then in your find dialog hit Command or Control V for victory. And again, it might find multiple instances of the word filtering. Since this is a heading, just put it on the one that's on the line by itself. Okay, hopefully, there we go. Okay, so that's where that filtering is. And again, you would probably have more paragraphs in here, so don't worry about that. Moving on, there's an H6, there's a bunch of underline tags, bold, and you are allowed to use strong instead of B and M instead of I. It's completely fine. So again, you would have to do a search for these. So I'll just do this first one, Command or Control C, Command or Control F, Command or Control V, and it's going to find multiples of them. Again, if you just do the first one that you see, that's fine, as long as you have at least one in there that you formatted. that's acceptable. If you want to do all of them, you can. Boy, it's not standing out to me where it is. I'm sure it's in there. Whenever I look at your assignments, I'm going to come in. Oh, here it is at the very top. I'm going to come in and right click, and I'm going to do view page source. And whenever I do that, your code is going to stand out much easier. And plus, I can search your code through here. So this is one of the ways that I'm going to grade your assignments. Okay, the one that I wanted to point out to you, which might be a little bit tricky, is number 9. So number 9 asks you to highlight this or to find this entire block here. So I wouldn't try to find the whole thing. I would just start with this case hinges on privacy. I'm going to copy it, find, paste. Okay, so it's actually talking about non-restrictive. So it's actually talking about this whole thing. So you may have put a paragraph tag around it. Remove those paragraph tags and do a block quote, because it shouldn't be both things. There we go. This looks like it's near the bottom. There we go. So this is what it would look like. A block quote is just indented. Okay, so if you did have paragraph tags there, remove them. And it does say that. Remove the paragraph tags if you had them around that. It does tell you to add an HTML comment. Don't forget to change your title. And then whenever you're done, make sure your index is saved. So whenever it's talking about the title, it's talking about this part right here. So you are going to kind of have to skim down through this assignment and find out what this content is talking about and give me a title that relates to the content of the web page. Don't put your name in it. Don't put the name of the assignment or the name of the class, because this web page doesn't talk about any of those things. So make it relevant to the content on this web page. I'm not going to do it for this one. I want you guys to kind of come up with your own and try to make one that is relevant. Again, whenever you're done, make sure you save it. Okay, so you would hit Command S. Right now mine is saved. And then you are ready to submit. Oh, also one other thing, make sure whenever you're done, you double check what yours looks like. And I do have the HTML result. There we go. There's all those paragraphs and the block quote and all that great stuff. Okay, so don't forget to double check the result versus yours. Your underlines or italics might be in slightly different places depending on which one of those phrases you decided to add the element. But as long as you have at least one instance of it formatted, you should be good. And then that is how you do the HTML2 assignment. Now to submit it, you're going to do the same thing that you did for HTML1. After you're done, you're going to minimize Dreamweaver, find the HTML2 folder on your computer. So here it is. And then you're going to right click and choose Compress HTML2. Rename this zip file to O2 HTML2 and then your last name. And then go ahead and upload that to your Google Drive. And then you will be done with the assignment. Again, remember, if you submit it late, please make sure you email me letting me know that it is submitted and ready to be graded. And that's it.